Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of Pyramid Knits. My name is Liz, and I am coming to you from my home just outside of Taos, New Mexico in the southwestern United States. I am a knitter and a natural dyer, and this is a podcast where I talk about knitting and natural dyeing. You can find me on Ravelry as Bombardoo and on Instagram as Pyramid Dye Works. I'll put that down here. It is Sunday, March 22nd, I think. Does anybody know what day it is anymore? It is the 22nd. So it's been a week. Sunday afternoon, 1 week into coronavirus quarantine. My life honestly hasn't changed that much. I work from home already. I live relatively rurally, so I already kind of grouped my town trips, into one big trip, so I don't have to go into town every day. So yeah, all in all, my day to day is kind of the same. I'm watching a lot more of the news, which is stressful. So today with the podcast, I have a bottle of water. Got to keep hydrated. And, just to take the edge off the apocalypse a little bit, I've got a shot of whiskey too. Yeah. Got to get those provisions, the necessary provisions. Joining me today, I have not one but two dogs. This is Keza over here having a nap. And then my other dog, Satya, over there having a nap. That's my guest bed. It's essentially the dog bed now. They've claimed it for their own. What are you going to do? They're cute. And I can't have people over, so the dogs might as well have the guest bed. Okay, so cheers out there. So I found that kind of the first week that the U.S. started freaking out about everything, which was about 2 weeks ago, I was really kind of too anxious to knit, which was a bummer because I thought, hey, this is great. Like, we're all about to be stuck in our homes forever. Good thing I have a lot of sweaters I need to knit, But I was just I was too stressed out and anxious to even knit anything. I just didn't even want to go there. But I found that this week that has started to kick into gear. And I'm definitely finding comfort and relaxation in knitting and in seeing my very slow but diligent progress on things. And I'm sure everybody out there totally understands that, and you're probably all finding a lot of solace in your knitting right now. I hope you are. And I know that, my local yarn shop is closed, which means I'm out of that job. Good thing I have 3 more. So you can't buy yarn in town, but I'm sure most people out there, that's probably not an issue for us so much. Even those that don't stash yarn, quote unquote, don't stash yarn, there's no chance that I'm going to run out of yarn anytime soon. So I'm not very concerned about that. But yeah, my knitting mojo is kicking into gear this week. It's really helping me calm myself and ground myself. I got an email from a nonviolent communication counselor who I have taken courses from back in Portland. And one of her tips for, dealing with difficult, stressful times was anytime you feel yourself starting to get caught up in it, to do an action that grounds you, which is knitting. And I read that and I was like, I mean, obviously, like I was just letting myself sort of like get caught up in these thoughts and get caught up in the news and just like go off with it, you know? Um, but I'm trying to now, whenever I catch myself doing that, say, okay, well, knit a few rounds on your sock. And then you can move on with your day. And that's really helped me get my knitting mojo flowing again. Another thing that I've been finding really helpful and really grounding is starting my garden. I was sitting at my desk working one day last week and was overcome with a wave of anxiety. And I was like, oh my God, I have to plant my tomatoes right now. So I did. I took a break from work. I got up and I went and I planted my tomatoes. So I've got some veggie starts going inside the house, and I planted some stuff outside. I cleaned up my garden from last winter. I'll insert a little garden tour right here, and I'll revisit that every time I visit you guys about knitting too, so you can see the progress. Yeah, so this is my garden tour for March 2020. Okay, so here is my garden before I cleaned it up. So everything is still there from last year. My old tomatoes, the old sunflower stalks. That's my little dish that I put out for bees to get a drink. And then there's the garden from the other side. I have saved my Christmas tree. I'm planning to use that in another hugelkultur style bed. So there I've got the Christmas tree, some wood shavings, some compost, and some wood ash. Those are the supplies I have on hand. And then here's Mr. Keza. And I've got strawberries coming back from last year, which is super exciting. And I've got a little mullein plant popping up there. Those just grow wild here. It's a dye plant and a medicinal plant. And my irises are starting to come back. And that's my little bird girl bird feeder. I go out and put bird seed in her hands every day. And here's the garden after I cleaned it up. Got everything moved out, put down some straw for mulch. I planted some seeds. I put out radish, spinach, onion, and peas. And there are my pea seeds. And this iris bed was here when I moved in, and it's always just been super crowded and overgrown. So I finally went in there and cleared out all the weeds and exposed the roots to the sunlight. So hopefully I'll get some flowers this year, because they haven't produced any flowers the last 2 years, which is my own neglect, I'm sure. Yeah, so it's really nice to be out in the garden. Nothing has sprouted yet. I planted seeds out there last weekend, so it's been a week now that everything's been out there. But it's been pretty cold. We've gotten some snow this week, actually. There were a couple mornings when I've woken up and there's been a little bit of snow outside, and it was pretty frosty this morning. So we'll see. Yeah, I'll probably plant another round this week sometime, just in case they don't germinate, and I have a backup. And besides, I want to do succession planting anyway, so I'll have a second batch if the first batch does come up. So yeah, I think my dog wants to go outside, so hang on. So let's talk about knitting. Now the dogs want to come inside. Okay, and now the dogs are back inside and they're wrestling on the bed. Well, they're making out on the bed, more like. Yep, and this is just pretty standard. That's what they do all day. Oh, you guys love each other. You sweet such boy. Look at you. That's his favorite position. Is like upside down and twisted up. Yeah, he's probably gonna lay like that for an hour or two. Okay, finished objects. Yes, finished objects. I'm wearing one. This is my Widow's Kiss by Thea Coleman. I love it. Let me stand up. Never mind the fact that I'm wearing sweatpants. Hey, we're not going anywhere, right? Yes. It's amazing. I love this sweater. It's absolutely gorgeous. I knit it out of Elsa wool, sport weight, woolen spun, and it's 100% Cormo. And it is so soft. Like, I'm wearing a tank top underneath this, but I don't need to at all. Like, it doesn't itch in the slightest. I'm wearing a tank top under it mostly because it has this boat neck. And, you know, my bra strap pops out. Bright blue bra. So just to, you know, mitigate that a little bit. It fits so super well. It's so super comfy. The only thing about it is the neckline does kind of cut right across my neck right there. And I find that tickles a little bit. I apologize. They're doing something. Anyway. But also the thing is, I didn't wet block this. I only steam blocked it. And I have a feeling that if I wet blocked it, this would relax a lot more and it wouldn't be quite so stiff and kind of poking into my neck. So the pattern makes it super easy that you can add in or take out stitches on these reverse stockinette panels here on the side that surround this faux seam. So it's super easy to adjust for your gauge. Or if you want to go in between sizes like I did. I've already worn this several times, and I do feel like it's already kind of starting to loosen up a little bit. Since they're making noise, you might as well just see what they're doing. Oh, now you're going to be quiet and just give kisses? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, if you guys are going to wrestle, I'm going to have to put you in the other room. Yeah, all of this is definitely staying. Oh my goodness. Maybe they'll stay like that for a little while. So those are my dogs. So I've put one of the dogs in the other room so they'll stop wrestling. And now this one is very sad at me. His friend is gone. What's he gonna do now but just lay there and stare at me upside down with his giant puppy dog eyes? Yep. That's my big scary Doberman. Honestly, he is kind of big and scary. But he's a big sweetie too. Okay, next finished object is socks. Because it turns out vanilla socks are great to knit on during the apocalypse. All right. Ta-da! I was working on these last time, and probably the time before that. They are plain vanilla socks. That is all I do with all of my socks. There's 2 of them. They are knit out of Zen Garden Superfine. I believe the colorway is Gia, but I think they're like one-of-a-kind colorways with them. Or at least with this line. My basic sock recipe. Judy's Magic Cast On. 64 stitches around, size US 1 needle, German short row heel, nice and simple, 1x1 rib at the top, and I did Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. for the top. Yeah, so these are done. Another pair of socks for my sock drawer. I'm calling these my conference call socks because honestly, most of my knitting on these socks have been on conference calls or webinar trainings or something like that, which I got a lot done on them before all of this COVID stuff happened and everybody ended up working from home. But this week I'd knit, well, I finished them. Yeah, I was able to just tear through these because there were a lot of those conference calls this week. Yeah, so I finished these on a call. I bound them off and I was still on the call and I was like, well, I better start another pair of socks. So it took literally less than 60 seconds to go from finishing these to starting these. So this is my next pair of socks. I'm doing the same thing, toe up, vanilla sock. I'm pretty interested with the way that this colorway is pooling. Where's the ball? Oh dear, everything's just like stuck on itself. Okay, so this is the yarn. I bought this at Taos Wool Fest last fall. It is from the Woolly Lizard out of Cortez, Colorado. I don't remember if there's a colorway name or if it's just a number. And I think I showed this to you guys before and I did this exact same thing. And no, it's just a number. But it's the Woolly Lizard out of Cortez, Colorado. It is 80/20 merino nylon. It's super high twist. Yeah, but I'm pretty curious. I don't usually like pooling. Pooling really kind of drives me nuts. But if it stays kind of consistently stripy like this, I'm actually kind of into it. That would be pretty cool. So yeah, we'll see. And it's an interesting colorway. Like it's all of my favorite colors thrown in together. And they don't necessarily go together. But it's like turquoise and orange and olive green, kind of. Yeah, like it was just so pretty. It's all of my favorite colors. But then knitting up, I'm like, it's kind of like a murky mess, but I kind of like it. So yeah, I'll keep going and see what the pooling does with this. I'm hoping it stays just kind of like these stripes like this. So I guess we've moved on to whips now. So the next whip, since I finished this sweater, I have a goal to finish all of my works in progress sweaters and all of the finish all of those sweaters, plus all of the sweaters I have planned and I have already bought yarn for this year. So I finished this one, which meant I had to go back to a languishing whip. And here it is. Here we go. This is my Myrtle sweater. It is a pattern by Kate Davies. It's lace weight. It's knit the body on US size 2 needles and the ribbing on US size 1. So yeah, this has been going for a while. It's absolutely gorgeous. I am just adoring it. The yarn I'm using is, oh crap. It's Knit Picks lace weight alpaca, which I believe is their shadow yarn. I'm not sure what it's called. I'll double check what the name of it actually is, but it's Knit Picks lace weight alpaca. So it's 100% alpaca, so it's going to stretch out a lot, which is good. Because as it is, this is just like a tiny little crop top on me. But it's going to stretch a bunch whenever I block it. And when I picked it back up, I had finished up to the arms and I had knit the back panel. So then I had to pick back up and knit the front panel, the front part of the sweater, which this is actually the front. There we go. That looks more normal. There's my neckline, my sleeve coming down. So yeah, I knit the front, and then this has been sitting in my knitting basket up on top of the shelf since last spring, probably was the last time that I touched it. And my cat has been sleeping on it. Yeah, there's quite a few snags in this. Nothing that's, irreparable. But there was a little hole just in the very top. So then I had to go and I had to rip out the top stripe on the back and fix it and just reknit the top stripe. It was right at the very top, so it really wasn't that big of a deal to fix compared to anywhere else on this thing where a hole could have, manifested. So now I've knit the front, I've fixed the back, I've seamed together the shoulder seams, and I am working away on the sleeve. It's both going quickly and slowly. I feel like I'm making progress, but it's lace weight on size 2s in a lace pattern. Like, it's just taking time. Yeah, so it's just taking time to get through. I'm really trying to focus on this. I want to be done with the sleeve by tomorrow. You think that's going to happen? It does keep getting smaller, so, I mean, there's an outside chance. I was going to say if I'm a good little quarantine girl, maybe. I'm not going to be a good little quarantine girl, though. I have to go to the grocery store today. I'm going to the grocery store for me and my father so that he doesn't have to go. So I'm going to go and get all my stuff and get all his stuff. And we're going to do a takeout dinner so I don't have to go over there and cook. And also probably all of the restaurant where New Mexico right now is at, no dining rooms are open, but you can still do takeout and delivery. But that's probably not gonna last beyond tomorrow. That's the suspicion. So we're gonna order out and try and get a little money to one of our local restaurants before they have to go dark, and let me not have to be all up in his kitchen. Which, instead we're just having a stranger be all up in the kitchen and like serving us food. So who knows? But it's our last chance to eat out as far as we're concerned. So I'm gonna go to the grocery store and get all the stuff, and then pick up some food and go over there, and eat from 6 feet away, and then I'll come home. So I don't know if I'll get too much work done on this tonight, but I really need to. If I want to finish all of my whips and all of my sweaters that I have yarn bought for this year, I really need to pick up the pace on this. And I also, it's almost done. Like, you can tell what it looks like. But it's from Kate Davies' book, The West Highland Way. She's there on the cover wearing it. And I really love this book. It's so pretty. The photography in it is just amazing, and the patterns in it are beautiful too. So far, I have knit out of this book this myrtle. Look at this photography. It's so good. I just love it. And this scarf I knit for a friend. Which was just gorgeous. Hers, she did it as an infinity scarf. I just did mine. I didn't connect mine, so it's just a regular scarf. Because I knit it for a male friend of mine, and it just seemed more masculine to do it as a scarf rather than a roundabout, which doesn't matter because he's like genderqueer, so I shouldn't care. Anyway, so yeah, I really love this book. There are more patterns in here that I would love to knit. Most of the stuff Kate Davies puts out, I generally love because we just kind of have the same aesthetic. She has a very classic aesthetic, as well as Thea Coleman. Like, that's definitely my style, timeless and classic. But in the book, she takes you through the West Highland Way, and you get to knit patterns that are based on all of the places along the West Highland Way. You get to read stories about it, and it takes you read stories about all of the places and the history. And it takes you through like a virtual walk along the West Highland Way, which is like 90 miles long, I think, which I would love to hike one day. I think that would be so much fun. Um, and then, wear some of my West Highland Way knitwear. But the photography in here is just amazing. It's her husband who does all the photography. They self-published the book. Like, she's totally my hero. I would love to be her when I grow up. Yeah, but I mean, it's stunningly gorgeous. Stunningly gorgeous. So yeah, working on my myrtle. That should be done by the next time I talk to you, which I've been doing monthly. I've been aiming for monthly. I think that's still what I'm going to aim for because I don't have any extra time off. Like, I'm still working, which is great that I'm still working because I don't know anybody else in this town who still has a job. It's a tourist town, so everybody works at resorts, restaurants, hotels, bars. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for sure. So moving on with whips. I have my meditative knit that I have not been working on nearly enough. I did the other night, I was watching the news, like you do, and I started knitting on this, and it really, really helped. So yeah, this is my litmus cowl, which is a pattern by Amy Florence. It is an infinity cowl. It's going to wrap on my neck twice. I'm doing this blue gradient that you can see is getting pretty far. I'm over halfway done now. I'm starting to go back into the more faded direction again. I haven't knit that much since the last time I talked to you guys. I was halfway done last time, which is like right here. So I've done a few stripes. But yeah, it's stocking it in the round. And, with these stressful times, maybe I'll finish it in a relatively timely manner. Yeah, I've mentioned the yarn before. They're both wool silk blends. If you're curious about it, you can click on my Ravelry project page and get all the details there. So, other whips. I have one more, which is my crochet project. So I learned to crochet to make a granny stripe blanket. And here it is. It's getting longer. It's getting bigger, which is exciting. I haven't added on that much again since I last recorded. I think I was around abouts in here last time. So I put on a few rows. But the thing I am really loving about it is like every time I add in a new color, it like changes the mood of the blanket. It was getting really, really kind of like faded and pastel, like whenever I was right around here. And I was like, oh, it's starting to look like kind of boring. And like this dark green at the bottom looks weird. But then I added in some more stripes and then it like starts balancing out. You get this extra pop of color and it's like, oh, it's so much fun. I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, this is also a great project to work on while you're watching the news. It helps. So those are all of my active whips. I'm trying to be really good, and I'm trying to work on my sweaters, and I'm trying to get them done, and I'm trying to get my whips done. I know that blanket's going to be there forever, and that's fine. But like, yeah, I just want to get this litmus cowl done so I can maybe wear it this spring whenever we have some more little cold snaps come through. I would hate to finish it and then not be able to wear it until next winter. But yeah, I just need to watch more news, maybe. No, I don't. Yeah, I want to get things done. I just want to get things done. Clear out the old stuff, be able to start something new. Yeah. On to natural dyeing. I actually have quite a bit of dye to show, which is great. I didn't realize I had done so many dye baths this month. So yeah, let's just look at the first one. These are all 3 different bases dyed in Kota flower, also known as Navajo tea. I collected all of the flour off the roadside out by Abiquiu the fall before last, I think. And it's just been stored, dried in my house. And yep, I cooked some up the other day and did some dyeing with this. And it really is more of an orangey color. I think it's coming out a little bit pale. There, that looks better. Whenever I hold it back, this is much truer to the color. So you can see they all kind of took the dye differently. This is an alpaca wool blend. The center here is 100% wool, and this is a superwash merino nylon. So the superwash is always going to take more saturation, but you can see it really kind of changed the hue of it too. The non-superwash wool is much lighter, but much brighter too. And the alpaca always takes up the dye differently. Like some colors it loves, and some it like repels it. Yeah, so it came out quite a bit lighter as well, but no less beautiful. And let's see, what else do I have? Yeah, I've shown you guys that in the past. This is old. And so the next dye I have is Saxon Blue. Oh, gotta love those blues. Gotta love those blues. So this skein I did with some resists on it. So it'll have little white speckles throughout it. And I really kind of want to knit these up into socks because I want to see how the striping turns out, because I only did the resists on one half of the yarn. And my theory is with socks that it'll alternate just about like every other row on a sock. It will take up about that much yarn. This is my theory. I need to knit up some socks and see if that works in practice, because I think that would be so pretty to have like a little mini stripe where every other stripe just has some white in it, you know? So yeah, I think I might steal from the shop and keep one of these for me so that I can knit up some socks and I can test it. And test out my theory. Yeah, so there's one. And then this one is my alpaca blend. Again, my alpaca wool blend. And it clearly loved the Saxon Blue. It just took the color so beautifully. And Saxon Blue is a natural dye because it's made from indigo. But it could be considered like the first synthetic acid dye, sort of. It's indigo and sulfuric acid. And the sulfuric acid changes the process by which the indigo attaches to the fiber into just a direct dye. It makes the indigo not be dependent on oxygen anymore. It just attaches directly to the fiber. It doesn't have to go through the extra chemical stuff that you have to do with indigo, where you have to get the oxygen out of the dye bath, and then it does that magic thing that indigo does whenever you pull it out and it hits the air. All of a sudden, this like pale yellowish green turns blue as it oxidizes. Saxon Blue doesn't do that. It's just a straight dye. You put it in the pot, you're done. So it makes indigo very easy. But it is kind of an acid dye made from natural products. And the third dye? Yes, the third dye I'm going to show you. I just pulled this out of my dye pot. I haven't even rinsed it yet. So it's going to be like all dripping on me. Um, Here it is. This is kind of a fail because it didn't turn out the way that I intended it to. And it's going to lighten up a bit as it dries. I wanted more of this purple and less of the magenta. And this is Saxon Blue and Cochineal. I overdyed, but I didn't get enough blue on the first pass, and I knew that going into it, that I didn't have enough blue on it, but it's still absolutely gorgeous. And this is on my sock yarn base. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave these as is because it's still just fab. It's just not what I had in mind. And I'm gonna dye up another skein and try and get what I was actually going for. So yeah, next time we'll be able to compare and contrast. But yeah, it's still just, it's nice. It's still really nice. Yeah. Yeah, just not as much purple as I wanted. So I had a friend who I met at Vogue Knitting Live send me a package this week. Hooray for knitting friends. Oh my goodness. I got this in the mail. My friend Anne, who runs Bee and Shard Designs, you can find her under that on Instagram. I'll also put her little thing there. She's a designer. Check her out. Yeah, she got these at the Boston Farm and Fiber Fair, I think. I think that's what it's called. And this is from a small farm in New Hampshire, from Great Bay Wool Works. It says 100% sheepwool from our flock. They don't specify the breeds or anything, but it's this lovely silvery gray. And Anne told me that the farmer said that this takes on a really nice, like, purple undertone wherever you dye it. So she bought them for me. So I'm gonna have to dye these. I don't know with what yet. I haven't decided. And the yarn, it's a 2-ply. I would say worsted to Aran weight. I think it would probably work for either. And it feels kind of rough. Like, you can tell the actual fiber, the individual fibers are quite thick. So it's got a little bit of scratch to it, but underneath that it feels soft. So I'm thinking it's 400 yards total. So I'm thinking a shawl, a big Aran weight shawl with like a lacy pattern. I have a couple in mind. One fits within the yardage. One, I already own the pattern, but it calls for a lot more yardage, so I would have to modify and make it smaller, which is fine because it's a really big shawl to begin with, so I don't think that would really be that much of an issue. So I've got a couple of patterns that I'm eyeing for this, but I haven't decided on the color. So I'll have to mull that over, and then I'll dye these up, and then at some point I'll make a shawl. Thank you, Anne. So that's everything. And I'm just about done with my end of the world whiskey. Cheers. Yeah. So just keep going out there, you guys. We're all doing it. We're all there. Keep knitting. Remember to ground yourself when you start to feel your mind go down that rabbit hole of anxiety. Knit a few rounds on a sock. Just pull yourself back. It's really helpful. So yeah, stay strong, stay safe out there. I'll just be here by myself with my dogs wrestling until the end of time, apparently. Thank you for joining me. Happy knitting, and I will see you guys next month.